starting now. As I see. Let's see.
College Champions fan, going.
Yep, it says live. Now I'm gonna put my iPad. I gotta go change it to front camera. See, this is live. Okay, now I'm gonna exit out of here. I'll go to Envision TV. Click on Catch Up. It doesn't want to seem to load up. So I think I'll go to Commando TV. Go to Catch Up. Go to US Entertainment. Go to Get TV, a Sony network. Go to April 6th.
Drugs and gangs, man. It's the big problem. I don't ever hope to solve it. One kid at a time, Trebet. One kid at a time.
on Rescue 911. A bicycle nightmare.
I didn't see the car.
A tragic collision could mean death for a young child.
Anybody call for an ambulance?
Be there as neighbors respond quickly to save a child's life. Then,
He was gonna try to beat the lawnmower.
a chilling riding mower accident puts a small town on full alert.
I didn't think there was a way in the world he would live.
On Rescue 911.
On October 9th, 1989, Kathy Swift was at her suburban home in Cheltenham, Pennsylvania, where her 8-year-old daughter, Vicki, and her son, Stephen, were playing together. But before the day was over, they would discover that a split second of carelessness can forever change a life.
I don't think any parent has gone through any single day and has not said, don't run in the house.
Steven, will you take that outside, please? Yo, guys, I said outside.
I had one of the koosh ball things, and Vicky wanted it. I said, if you want the ball, you gotta come and get it. Just had it in my hand and started running. She came in and got her bike, and then Vicky was chasing me out in the street. I didn't see the car. The only time I saw the car was when it stopped. She had her mouth open and she was turning her head and she was moaning. I was scared.
While the driver sat stunned in her vehicle, neighbor John Hopper, an off-duty firefighter, responded to Stephen's cries for help.
Mom!
I ran over and there she was laying in the street.
Vicky, honey, Vicky!
There was gas just gushing out of the back of that parked car where her bike went up and punctured the gas tank.
All right, hold on now, babe.
I made the decision that I had to move her because the gas was pouring down so bad that, God forbid, a spark or something would hit. I said we would have all been in trouble.
We're gonna take on 3.
So that's why I mobilized her head and had Bobby pick her up underneath the middle of her body.
When we continue.
I could feel my heart pounding. Just thinking, oh my God, don't let her die.
Our pal Walker has some.
Question was, is she breathing?
And I, in fact, lied to her.
All you want.
Join the Bunkers for some family time. All in the Family, weeknights at 8 p.m. Eastern.
I could feel my heart pounding, and I could feel my feet hitting the sidewalk as I ran. Just thinking, oh my God. It's almost like life stops.
Vicky's father, Stephen, had been taking a nap when he was awakened by his son's screams.
I was trying to convince myself that she was going to be okay. It's just a little bruise. Anybody call for an ambulance? I just knelt down to her and held her hand and said, she's going to be all right because Daddy's here.
Come on, stay with me, babe. Come on. Come on, babe. Stay with me.
Nobody let me go to Vicky. Nobody let me see her. But Sue caught me, and my first question was, is she breathing?
And I, in fact, lied to her and said, oh, I'm sure she's fine. And really, I did not think she was. My first thought was I thought she was dead.
Within 5 minutes, Cheltenham emergency and fire rescue units arrived on the scene, including EMT Harry Hall.
The anxiety level just increases incredibly, especially when it's a child that gets hit by a car.
She's going that same speed. She's conscious? No, she's drifting in and out.
We found that there was a laceration behind her ear. There was a golf ball size hematoma in the left forehead.
I didn't take nothing off.
And when you have an unconscious victim, you never know how serious the injuries are. You can only assume the worst.
Come on, Vic.
There was no movement. We also noticed a sign of posturing. So we needed to get her into the hospital as soon as we could.
A large laceration on the back of her head.
I remember pleading with everybody that I knew to pray for her.
Come on, Vic.
And I remember just crying and saying over and over and over, don't let her die.
When 8-year-old Vicky arrived at Abington Memorial Hospital, a trauma team was waiting, including nurse Nancy Hess.
A lot goes through your mind as a mother and as a nurse. You start thinking along the lines of, this could be one of my children, or where are my children right now?
1, 2, 3.
Because Vicky was having trouble breathing, she was put on a ventilator. X-rays and a CAT scan were taken to determine the extent of her injuries.
She's doing, but right now she looks okay and doesn't look that badly injured.
We knew she had a skull fracture. They weren't sure about her ankle. And we thought, boy, we lucked out.
The doctor had asked to see us again and told us that she had slipped into a coma.
The results of the CAT scan showed that Vicky had a critical head injury.
You're jubilant for the good news, and then all of a sudden they drop a bomb on you.
Vicky was transferred to Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, where she was examined by the director of the trauma unit, Dr. John Templeton.
After she was here, we determined that she wasn't wearing a helmet. That told us that all of the force was transmitted directly against her skull and therefore against her brain as well.
Vicky was put under the care of neurosurgeon Anne Christine Dunham.
The thing that one worries about the most is pressure inside the head, caused by swelling of the brain.
Because of the injury.
And that is a serious problem that we have to work very hard to control.
When we talked about those pressure waves, we're beginning to see some. Her initial pressure was okay, but over the next 24 hours, it began to go up in spike waves.
That night, around 3 o'clock in the morning, the doctors and the nurse came in to notify another parent that their child had just died. And at that point, I said to myself, my God, when's it my time?
If she had a period where the pressures went up and in spite of everything we couldn't control them, then she would have gone on and become brain dead.
I just felt like everything just disappeared. And I didn't know. Is she gonna be normal? Is she gonna be all right?
She's not doing that now. In fact, she's acting much more normal.
After 2.5 weeks, Vicky showed real signs of improvement.
I just had this feeling come over me, like a big sigh of relief. You know how you take a big cleansing breath and everything's cool and calm. And I said, she's gonna be good. She's gonna be fine. There's nothing gonna be wrong with her. She's gonna recover.
Vicky underwent a year of therapy to improve speech and motor skills affected by the injury to her brain. 3 years after the accident, her recovery is remarkable.
People marvel when they see Vicky today and then they hear her story. And sometimes I think, was it real? Because Vicky is so good. She brings this exuberance to life. She's the kind of girl who you know is going to get somewhere in life. Because I don't think she's gonna let anything stop her.
It does. I'm surprised it still holds it up. In school, I'm doing pretty good. I like to read, and when I grow up, I want to be a teacher and an author.
The last real ringing of any consequence occurred on February.
I was happy that she came out all better. But she's still not the perfect sister. If I had to rate her from 1 to 10, I'd probably say about a 9. There's still things she has to work on to be a 10.
Nobody comes through an injury like this completely the same person that they were. Vicky is awfully close, and we're delighted. But I don't think it's fair to minimize that she's had a serious injury. And while she has recovered, lasting effects may show up later. The only really good treatment for a brain injury is to prevent it from happening in the first place.
In 1991, the American Trauma Society selected Vicky as a spokesperson and poster child. Together with the Safe Kids campaign, they promote the importance of bicycle safety.
There has been a drastic change in our little community here. Before Vicky's accident, I never saw anybody with a helmet. And now even the littlest guy on the littlest two-wheeler had a helmet on his head.
I like being outside riding my bike and roller skating. And I wear my helmet so if I fall and my head hits the ground, I know it won't get hurt because I have my helmet on.
Bike helmets that meet safety standards have been shown to reduce the risk of brain injury by almost 90%.
I wouldn't wish the guilt of not having a bicycle helmet on anybody. And if because of my ignorance or my negligence, she would have died, I couldn't have forgiven myself. Kids balk at them. There's no doubt about that. But as a parent, that's your responsibility, to teach your children and to protect your children. No helmet, no bike.
Next.
I thought Stacy's on the other side of the swing. Daniel was up in the swing, and I thought they were safe.
All right now, Get TV fans, don't be left in the dark.
Things you do every day.
On June 7th, 1991, in Mountain Grove, Missouri, Jim Shepard and his wife Ethel were looking after their two young grandchildren.
Ethel, she's a very overly protective grandmother. Her preference was not to leave them in the house unattended.
Daniel, he would run up to the side of the moor when I wasn't even aware that he was there. And it had just scared me terrible. And so I had sent him back up there and would tell him, don't come back down here now. If you want Grandma to do something, wave at me. I thought, Stacy's on the other side of the swing. Daniel was up in the swing, and I thought they were safe.
I was holding the swing back when my grandma was coming. He was gonna try to beat the lawnmower.
The next thing I remembered, I was standing against the pole. And I had a hold of the handlebars, and I was trying to raise it up off of him.
Daniel's older brother Larry rushed outside to help.
I heard Stacy scream, and I seen the word. Well, you can see bone. I mean, you can see it was just sticking out. I couldn't think of anything only just other than, dear God, help us.
I knew he was still alive, and then I saw the blood begin to squirt. And that's when I knew I had to stop the bleeding.
A St. John's ambulance was immediately dispatched.
Grandma, he said, you're hurting me. And I kept telling him, Daniel, Grandma don't want to hurt you, but we've got to not let that bleed.
Grandpa, go wait for the ambulance up by the road, hurry.
There was just a sick feeling just right in the very pit of your gut there that all of the bone and everything had been just chopped and eaten away by the moor blade.
I began to pray and ask the Lord to give me strength to keep it shut off, that he would make it.
As I pulled into the driveway, I could see the grandmother holding the child. And as I approached, it was obvious that we were dealing with something that was very life-threatening.
Glenn, call the bird.
While paramedic Bubba Shaw began treating the little boy, his partner Glenn Buckner radioed for a helicopter.
32 to base 2. Would you please put Hammond's lifeline in there?
Everything looks all right.
Her blouse was blood-soaked, and I knew that the child had lost a great deal of blood volume.
Okay, I've got the leg.
Her mind was so focused on saving that child that we literally had to pry her hands free of the child in order to take him from her.
Okay, go. Let go of him, Grandma.
My fingers was just so tightly locked around his leg that I was trying desperately to turn loose of it, but it just seemed like they wouldn't function properly.
Okay. Jump back in.
We're doing everything we can. You just have to bear
Cell
with it.
consciousness was decreasing rapidly. And his chief complaint at the time was that he was cold. You know, by that time, he was really starting to go into shock. Well, I looked over to Grandma and I said, "Do you have a dryer in your house?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Would you please get 4 or 5 towels and put it on high for about 4 minutes?"
We're going to warm you up real quick, Hero.
It was just a sinking feeling inside. I didn't think there was a way in the world that he would live.
We got all kinds of equipment on you right now, don't we?
You see things that horrify you all the time.
You ever been on a helicopter before?
Because it's a child. It makes me want to cry. It brings out emotions that you tried not to let the public or your coworkers see.
Okay, we're going to cover you up with some good hot towels.
We took the sheets off, but the warm towels, and they were really, really warm. Put them on top of him, covered him up, and just like in 2 minutes, he was no longer cold. His color was improving, but we'd also infused like 400 mils of fluid into him at the same time.
It's very hard to work on a child that you know may not make it.
And the family was there, and they were like, "My God, what has just happened?" Because it happened so quick, you know. And after the little boy left, that's when it all really started sinking in. And I know for a fact that I gave Grandma a hug and thanked her for being so strong. And when they drove to the hospital, they didn't drive safely and just take their time.
A call was placed to Daniel's parents to inform them that their son was being airlifted by Lifeline to St. John's Hospital, 65 miles away. There, a trauma team was awaiting his arrival, led by Dr. Rosellen Meistrick.
Tell me how this happened. He had lost a significant amount of blood at the scene and a lot of the muscle, so it was a very devastating injury for that child.
Dr. Meistrick told Daniel's parents, Louise and Dennis Prock, that there was no hope of saving their 6-year-old son's leg.
Plastic surgeon, I've been trained in replanting.
It just seemed like I was just in a nightmare. I didn't know for sure if he was even going to die. I didn't really know what to say to him. I was just shocked. My nerves just seemed like they just wanted to fly out of my body, you know, when that happened.
Daniel's left leg was amputated just below the knee. He was hospitalized for 9 days. During his recovery, he was often visited by the paramedics who'd helped him that day.
Hi.
Hi. Hi, Daniel.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Hi, Bubba.
Good to see you. Every time we went to St. John's, we'd sneak away for 5 minutes and see Daniel.
How's he doing?
Glenn and I got you a little present. It's a helicopter, just kind of like the one that you flew in. Daniel is so strong. He has the courage of 100 men. He's going to be okay. I mean, he lost a limb, but he didn't lose his life.
Oh, look at that.
If the grandmother had not controlled the bleeding, Daniel would have died before we got there. There's no question in my mind about it. Did they say when he might be able to go home?
I really, really feel that what Bubba and I've done was out of instinct and training. And the true heroics belongs.
On June 7th, 1991, in Mountain Grove, Missouri, Jim Shepard and his wife Ethel were looking after their 2 young grandchildren.
Ethel, she's a very overly protected grandmother.
you can die.
She's got all she can take out of there. Oh, he's a loving little guy. He can get you by the neck and give you a big hug and a kiss, and it just, you know, it really gets you to the heart.
The real handicap in people comes from how they feel about themselves, and if he thinks he can do it, he could do anything he ever wanted to do.
Today on Rescue 911, trapped in the trunk.
I didn't think he would have that much air.
A child's fun and games turn deadly. Can rescue workers respond before a helpless child takes his last breath? Then, a nail gun misfires.
There was at least 1 3/4 inches of nail inside of Jimmy.
Be there as a panicked man attempts to save a friend.
Jimmy was dying in my truck.
On Rescue 911.
Like most parents, Joanne Panicia and her husband often worried about their child's safety and went out of their way to try and keep an eye on their 3-year-old son, Paul. But on August 31st, 1992, at their home in Brookfield, Connecticut, Joanne discovered that kids can disappear before you even know they're in trouble.
We're having a great day. Paul was on his good side. I went shopping alone with him, which I don't do seldom. You know, you hear all the time on TV about mothers going in the mall with their kids and turn around shopping and the kids gone from the carriage, and he's so friendly. See, that's the scary part, that he will go. He will go with anybody. We don't live in an area that really I should be that concerned about it, but you never know. It was a hot day. I started putting some frozen foods away.
Can we have ice cream?
Do you eat? You can.
Okay.
Okay.
I was talking to Paul, but then all of a sudden I didn't hear a sound.
When we continue.
My heart started beating faster and faster when I heard complete quiet. And I didn't know Paul was gone.
Hey, guys.
Free prescription discount card. Call 800-279-0828. That's
291-1431. That's 1-800-291-1431.
Sunday nights are now Walker nights on Get TV.
Paulie! Paul, where are you?
I went out to the back because that's where we keep Paul Anthony's toys. His toys were there, everything was there, but he wasn't there.
Paul? Paul Anthony, where are you?
My heart started beating faster and faster when I heard complete quiet. That was scary. I didn't know Paul was gone.
Paul? Paul? Paul Anthony, where are you?
Oh, I heard a muffled voice coming from the car, but I had known I locked the car too.
Paul, are you in here? Paul? You're in here?
It's no big deal, but with Paul, you have to expect the worst.
Mommy will go get the keys. You have the keys?
I panicked. I knew I didn't have a second set of keys, and I didn't think he would have that much air. And it scared me, it really did.
Brookville emergency.
Yes, hi.
Brookfield Police Sergeant Charles Coleman was on routine patrol less than a mile from the house.
Normally we would tell somebody to lock their keys in their trunk, forget it, we can't do it. But when we got a call of a child locked in a trunk, yeah, we'll respond to that.
I was really impressed because they responded really fast to my call.
His name is Paul.
I hung up the phone and I hear the sirens going.
Paul, I'm Sergeant Coleman from the police department. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, can you breathe all right?
Yeah.
All right, you just sit tight and keep talking to your mom. We'll get you out in a minute, all right?
Okay, Paul, that was the policeman. He's gonna get you out.
First I was mad at Paul, but when he said that he had the keys, that's when I really felt panicky. I mean, all my anger towards them went away. I just felt for this little kid locked in his trunk.
Within 4 minutes of the call, rescue units with the Brookfield Volunteer Fire Department arrived, led by Fire Marshal Wayne Gravius.
I figured he'd be screaming or yelling or, you know, crying for his mother, but he wasn't.
In about 5 minutes. This is his mom here.
The mother was fairly calm. She was just talking to him. They were just like, you know, it was like he was right there, really. The difference was he was in the trunk.
So all I want you to do is keep talking to your mom.
And I just told him that, you know, she was going to talk to him through the whole thing. We might have to bang the car a couple of times.
All right, Matt, why don't you just take the fifth punch, pick up the back window, right? Mia, why don't you step back? Everyone clear? Yep.
You hear me, Paul? We're gonna come in here and get you now, okay? Well, we're gonna have you out in just a second.
Obviously, I knew he was breathing. He had plenty of oxygen, and so we decided that we'd take out the back seat rather than destroy the trunk.
I'll have you out in just a second, all right?
Paul, you should be okay, all right? Okay, Paul, Matt's gonna put his hand in there. Paul, the fireman's gonna put his hand underneath the seat. Give him the keys to the car.
Nothing yet, Wayne.
Nothing wrong? Come on, Paul. Give him the keys.
I'm not gonna give you the keys.
And I figured he'd be trying to come out the back seat where we were, and he's just like fighting us, like, you know, I don't want to, you know, I'm not giving you the keys to the car.
Come on, Paul. His hand's right there. You just gotta hand him the keys so we can get you out.
I'll only give the keys to my mommy.
Paul, give him the key.
Give me the keys, Paul. Come on, Paul.
I got the keys.
That's a good boy, Paul.
Oh,
Paul. Come on out of there.
Quentin was just amazed.
do you know? You scared me half to
He
death.
just loved to
Yes, he
see
did.
all the attention.
And it goes, woo, woo. And there was 5 lights. 5 consequences and lights. Oh, you need to see them. Let's go.
Why did you go in the trunk, Paul?
Because King Kong told me died in there.
King Kong told him died.
God, you're lucky.
We tried to impress upon Paul that this could have been a dangerous situation and advised him, look, Paul, you have no business with your mom's keys. You're not old enough to drive.
You're gonna be in trouble for breaking my daddy's window.
I don't think your dad's gonna mind as long as you're okay, all right?
Dean knew he had done something wrong. And he just said, you know, Daddy, you know, I'm sorry they broke your window, and don't be mad when you come home. And when I came home, he came running out, and he pointed, you know, down at the glass broken in the driveway. He goes, Daddy, I did not do it. We like to raise manly men in this family, not really intimidated by machinery, cars, motorcycle, tractor. He might have taken it a little too far, you know, got the keys and he figured I'm not afraid of anything and I'm off.
The men are the fault for this. My father has a tendency to hand him the keys of the Cadillac. So my next fear after the Nissan was, man, what if he tries to go in the Cadillac? Because that's a nice, comfortable trunk.
It's going. It's going.
No, I'm never going to go truck again. Never. Never more. Never. Okay, I'm done talking now.
Give me a kiss. Say I love you.
I love you.
I love you too.
Next. I didn't know what to do. Jimmy began convulsing and shaking. Last thing he said was that he was gonna die.
credit makes it easier to enjoy the vacation. Call
finish nail gun to nail boards onto the ceiling. The nail gun runs on 100 pounds per square inch of air pressure. We were aware of the fact that a lot of the tools can be very dangerous, but you do kind of get to the point where you don't really think about the fact that they could actually kill a person. When I heard the nail gun, I knew that it was serious, and I was just scared. I turned around to look at Jimmy, and he ripped his shirt open. And I knew at that point that there was at least 1 3/4 inches of nail inside of Jimmy in the area of his heart. The company that we worked for had trained us in CPR and first aid, and he wasn't in shock that I could tell. He was walking along fine. It was all I could do to keep him from running. I was starting to get the impression that maybe the nail went in and didn't hit anything. I went in the office to see where the nearest urgent care center was. But looking back, the best move would have definitely been dial 911 and let them handle it. Jimmy was doing fine at first, but as we got a half a mile from this job site, he started to complain of pain in his side of his neck. The last thing he said was that he's gonna die. I blew through a couple of red lights. He began convulsing and shaking. His head hit the steering column of my pickup truck, throwing it in park. I didn't know what to do. Jimmy was dying in my truck.
Jim, hey!
And the only thing that came to mind was sometimes you just gotta scream at him, holler at him, you know, try to get their attention.
Wake up, wake up!
All of a sudden his eyes just rolled back into his head, and he was with us again. Then I noticed a sheriff's car in the parking lot at the mini mall.
San Diego County Sheriff's Deputy Lenice Lopez was on routine patrol.
He told me gunshot to the chest. I have seen plenty of gunshot wounds, and most of them are fatal.
41, Hammershon, Chase, give me line five. You gotta give me a ready care.
He was sweating, but he was cold. He was losing it real fast.
Okay.
I asked his friend, what kind of gun is this? And then that's when he told me it was a nail gun. By then, Doug Newkirk, my partner, was there.
Okay. What's his name? What's his name? What's Jim? Okay, Jim, I want to...
He was semi-conscious. Seemed like he could look at me and see someone, but I saw how fast he was dying, and he needed to fight.
I've known who Jimmy was for a number of years. He was one of the guys you used to look up to when you were younger. I kept praying that everything was going to work out, be okay.
What's our ETA for life flight?
Doug Newkirk notified me that my flight was fogged in, and I yelled, "Get me Astria, the sheriff's helicopter." It was just a sense of helplessness. I couldn't make this better for him right now.
Within 4 minutes of the call, the first rescue units with the San Miguel Fire Department got to the scene.
You're there. Okay, we got a nail in the heart. Semi-conscious. You have a pulse? Yes, we have a pulse.
Once they arrived, I was relieved because my support can only last so long.
A Hearts and Advanced Life Support unit arrived to help treat the victim, including paramedic Michael McKinley.
The firefighters were there already doing some basic life support.
Can we get a couple IVs set up, please, in the IV tray?
He was very purple in the chest, and his veins were huge. They were about the size of a breadstick on either side of his neck, indicating that there was a backup of blood in the system. That's a classic sign and symptom of a piercing injury to the heart.
1, 2, 3. Coming under.
They talk about the golden hour, but in this case, it was more like the golden minute or the golden quarter hour. He needed to be in now.
256, this is Sharp, it's 9:59.
The trauma team at Sharp Memorial Hospital was put on alert.
Acute status, patient shot in the chest with a nail gun. When we encountered this gentleman, he's extremely diaphoretic. Level of consciousness is going down. They are going to be getting en route to your facility as long as you can accept.
We closed off the intersection. There was no traffic going through. Astoria didn't have to circle around. They landed. We got him loaded on the Astoria.
Time was very important in this case. We hot-loaded the patient into the aircraft, meaning that the aircraft was not shut down, the blades were still turning, and this allowed us to have a faster response to the hospital.
I said, Jim, you're gonna be okay now. And he said, thank you. I turned away. I was upset at him. Thank me if I save your life, but not if I don't. I went to the paramedic. I asked him, what do you think? Do you think he's gonna live? He said, it'd be a miracle.
The flight to the trauma unit took 5 minutes.
When we landed at Sharp Hospital, he looked at me, his eyes kind of rolled back in his head, and he said, you know, what am I going to do about my kids? You know, what am I going to do? And at that point, I think he knew he was going to die.
At the hospital, Jim was put under the care of cardiac surgeon Robert Adamson.
In general, a patient is taken into the trauma room where we get x-rays and draw blood work. But Jim's condition was so critical that he was taken directly to the operating room. We had just completed a routine bypass operation, and he had cardiac and trauma surgeons readily available. When we opened the chest, the sac surrounding the heart was filled with blood. It's not the amount of blood that Jim lost that was dangerous. It was the fact that it was compressing his heart and not allowing his heart to pump blood to his body.
I drove on to the hospital. I kept thinking about how I was going to tell Jimmy's mom. That was a very difficult call to make.
When I first got the call, I had a real bad fear that he wasn't going to be there when we got there.
As you may be aware,
the first thing he said to us was, your son is only alive because the system worked. Everything functioned properly, and he's alive. And we just said, thank God for that.
After the surgery to repair the hole in Jim's heart, his parents, Frances and Olin Robertson, got a chance to visit their son.
I don't believe we were prepared to see Jimmy the way he looked. We just stood there and looked at him for a minute, thanking God he was alive.
Amazingly, Jim was hospitalized for only 4 days, but it's changed his life. He can no longer do strenuous construction work.
I have to look for a new career now, so it's drastically changed my life. But I've been through the worst, and I'm gonna make it.
I'm definitely more cautious on the job site now and stress safety first. But if it ever does occur again, I'm gonna know. And I will call 911. I will finish nail gun to nail boards onto the ceiling.
Okay, I'm going to put the other 2 episodes of Rescue 911 on, but I'm looking to see if we are going live. It did appear to go live earlier. So I'm going to the YouTube site. we still are going live. Let's see. Now I'll go back to Cobra TV. Go to the 3rd episode. Well, come on, aren't you gonna play? Jeez.
And I was just recently divorced, and I don't see him as much as I would like. When she brought the kids up, I couldn't go. I couldn't go. That gave me the mental strength to hang on. God sent me an angel when he sent me Louise.
Today on Rescue 911, a weekend in the wilderness.
It's too steep down here.
It's terror on the trail. When a horse loses his rider and tumbles down a steep ravine. I thought the animal was dead. Witness the spectacular helicopter rescue as it actually happened. Plus, a Home Alone horror story. Two kids trapped in a blazing inferno.
People perish in fires like this.
Now it's a race to save these children. On Rescue 911.
In a crisis, when minutes can save lives, time and distance are a rescuer's worst enemy. I'm William Shatner. Tonight on Rescue 911, true stories of heroes who let nothing stand in the way of giving others a second chance at life. We begin on May 17th, 1992, as Sherry Giangrossi and a couple of friends set out on a day-long trip in the foothills of the Sierra Nevadas in Northern California. Some of the footage in this story was taped as the actual events unfolded.
Started out that morning at 6 for a ride that we had been looking forward to all week.
Oh yeah, Christina would like it too. Christina would really love it.
We didn't really have a plan for the ride that day, so it suggested that we go down the river, we can water the horses, and build a battle plan for the rest of the day, because it's still early.
And the horses were going just fine. They didn't have a problem with the trail. We'd been on trails like that before in the past.
But Sherry, Jack Snyder, and another friend had never been on this particular trail before.
Real steep, careful. Whoa, hold it right there. It's getting too steep down here. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
I turned around to see him falling down a hill. And I couldn't do anything to help him. When I got to the bottom, he was just laying on his side, and he wasn't breathing, and he wasn't moving. And I thought he had died.
Oh, easy. Come over there, partner. Oh. I really didn't want to roll him over at that point. I had no idea what the other side looked like. The very first thing that come in my mind was, I don't have a gun with me to euthanize the horse. It was absolutely no doubt we was going to have to put him away.
He'll be okay.
When we continue.
He was in very poor shape. His heart rate was real low, and I was wondering whether he was just going to die on the spot.
Get ready to hit the trail.
Monthly checks in addition to a lump sum, trusted by...
When Sherry Jean Grossie's horse Sinbad fell 300 feet down the side of the steep canyon, she and her friend Jack Snyder feared the worst.
Sure, this leg is awful bloody, but I don't think it's broken. I assessed the horse. I rubbed him down and couldn't feel a great deal of heat, certainly no protruding bones, and I was amazed that he'd gone where he had gone, and there was absolutely nothing appeared to be broke. Come on, sir. Come on.
Come on, baby, get up.
Come on up. Come on up. Come on up. Oh, now. Oh, son. Oh, now. Oh.
He was pretty cut up. He was starting to shake all over. But he was moving. He was alive. And scared.
Sinbad's veterinarian, Dr. Vern Thacker, was called in.
What happened? Well, come off the ravine up there and down the slope.
I was amazed at the distance he had fallen. My greatest concern was that there's lots of complications that can develop as a result of going through trauma like that.
He took a terrible fall. A fall that no horse should have lived through.
There you go, Sherry.
And we're trying to figure out how we would get him out, or how we could get him out. There was no way to get him back up to the top.
Well, we'll treat him for a shock.
Initial considerations were to push him off into the water and take him down to a trail to where he could walk out of. But he wasn't walking very well, and he was shocky. I didn't think he needed any further trauma.
All right, Sherry, we'll get...
So we decided to try and organize and get things together for the next day and have Sinbad stay overnight. I told Sherry I didn't want him to lay down because he did have an elbow fracture that might get further damaged if he did lay down.
It was the longest night I've ever spent in my life. I'd go stand with him and just hold him and tell him that we were going to get him out of there. And that he was going to be just fine. Not really sure myself if we were going to get him out of there. But I guess I said it because I felt I needed to hear it.
The next morning, Sherry's husband, Fred Giangrossi, called around, searching for someone who could evacuate the injured horse.
When I called our veterinarian, Dr. Thacker, he'd been trying to reach me at home all night. And he said that he thought he knew of a man that was going to be able to help.
Helicopter pilot Scott Baker, who had performed a similar rescue once before, agreed to try to lift Sinbad out of the steep canyon.
Nobody wants to fly in that canyon. There are just too many wires, you can't see them. Windy. You've got 3 bridges and 150-foot long cable hanging underneath you.
Dr. John Madigan and a team from the University of California Davis Veterinary School were also called in to help with the rescue attempt.
Over the last few years, we've been trying to design a harness that would support a severely injured horse and allow them to breathe easily, allow them to be comfortable in a harness or a sling support device. He was quite scared, so we had to administer a tranquilizer. Okay, attaboy. Let's use this blindfold on over there. We've decided that it's probably best to cover the horse's head with a soft blindfold. Horses can panic, they can become frantic, and they tend to withdraw a little bit with a blindfold. They actually don't panic in the dark. Sinbad started to actually sink and drop down as we were putting the last hooks on, so we were very fortunate with our timing that the peak sedation occurred right at the time we were ready to lift. It was technically an extremely difficult series of things that had to happen. He had to gradually move him away from the bridge and then get over the bridge to fly out.
My thoughts while I'm flying the animal out are, if anything goes wrong, I'm going to have to let this animal go.
The plan was to fly Sinbad 5 miles to a field next to a ranger station.
I see this helicopter, but I don't see Sinbad. And then all of a sudden, up over the trees, I see Sinbad hanging at the bottom of this helicopter, and I was just so thankful that he had made the flight. But we're not out of the woods yet. Now we have to set him down, and we have to bring him back.
When I saw the animal, knees give, go right to the ground, didn't seem to want to stand at all, I thought the animal was dead.
He was in very poor shape as compared to the day before. His memories were very gray. His heart rate was real low, and I was wondering whether he was just going to die on the spot. The initial thing I thought to do is to give him the reversal agent that'll counter some of the bad things that happen when you sedate a horse.
Easy now. It's okay. And pretty soon, he started to roll his eyes. And his color started coming back. And he started moving.
Come on, son. Come on up. Come on through.
Come on, baby.
Come on up. Come on up. Come on up. There you go.
He was standing. And it was an exhilarating feeling. I don't know what the prognosis is going to be for him, but he's going to be back home. And he's made it through something that this was a total miracle.
3 months later, Sinbad continues to recover from the fractured elbow he suffered in the fall. Sherry looks forward to a day when she may be able to ride him again.
The people that helped rescue Sinbad, there is a lot of heartfelt thanks for them. Because if it wasn't for what they did, I wouldn't have him.
Oh, yeah, what
Just for Sinbad, a little no-name horse that to most people probably isn't worth anything, but is my family.
Sinbad's recovery was quite amazing. He just had the heart to come through this. With flying colors, he healed very well. in spite of taking such a bad fall.
Next.
She was starting to panic because she could hear the fire and didn't know if it was coming up the stairwell or if she could hear it underneath her.
Meet Joy, the love doctor.
It's Andrew.
Plan. So call now to talk with us and learn more. Or ask to have a licensed agent visit your home and take you through everything step by step. We know healthcare can be confusing. United Healthcare can straighten things out. With 40 years of experience, you can count on us to be there all along the way. With a dual complete plan, you could have a wide choice of doctors to choose from, better prescription drug coverage, dental and vision coverage too, all at no additional cost. You have Medicare, you have Medicaid. You may be eligible for dual complete. So call the number on your screen now to see if you're eligible, or to enroll in a dual complete plan from United Healthcare.
School's in session with the Steve Harvey Show, weekdays at 7 on Get TV.
On the morning of August 29th, 1991, in Huntington Beach, California, Denise Devine had to run out to attend a business meeting, but she felt secure leaving her 12-year-old daughter, Janelle, to look after her young son for a couple of hours.
Two-year-olds kind of have a tendency to want to be somewhere where there's danger, but Janelle has always been older for her age. She's real good about watching Tyson and helping me out.
Tyson, you go down there and pick that up.
Just a week before, I had asked my husband, when was the last time you changed that battery in the smoke detector?
At 10:22, a call for help came in to Huntington Beach Fire Dispatcher Marianne Marcello.
Fire emergency. I have a fire in my house. Okay, what is burning? I don't know. My brother was downstairs and he came back upstairs and I was cleaning and there's this big stick of black smoke. Okay, coming out of your house. Is there anyone else? Upstairs in the bedroom and I can't go downstairs. There's too much smoke and it's coming. Okay, you're upstairs right now in the bedroom and you can't get out? No, there's too much smoke. I can't even breathe. Okay.
I was very frightened. I've been dispatching for a long time, and I knew people perish in fires like this.
Rescue units were immediately dispatched to the scene, including paramedic Dave McBride.
They were believed to be upstairs, and the smoke tends to rise. People can die in a matter of minutes from smoke inhalation. Time was running out for the children.
Okay, the door to the bedroom, is it shut? Yes. Can you get it? The phone, you're in there with the door shut and a phone? Yeah, it's just me and my little brother. Okay, and you're both upstairs? Yeah. Okay, what is your name? No. Oh, God.
She was starting to panic because she could hear the fire.
Okay, ma'am?
I didn't know if it was coming up the stairwell or if she could hear it underneath her.
Ma'am, stay on the phone with me. What's going on? I don't know. It's so big and I... Okay, don't open that door. Do not open that door. No, I'm pushing the screen. What screen were you trying to break? The window of my bedroom. Okay. I can't breathe. Okay, what I want you to do is I want you to get down to the floor. Okay. Okay, I want you and the other person in the room to get down close to the floor. And stay on the phone with me. What is your name? No.
It was stressful. You're at the other end of that phone line and they're putting all their trust in you. And The best I can do is to let them know that they're not alone.
Okay, they are on the way. You just stay with me. I'm trying, but right, you stay with me. I understand you're scared. You stay with me. Okay, Janelle, you just stay down close to the floor right now. They're almost there. Hurry up. They're pulling up out in front. How is your brother? Really quiet.
And they were beginning to become overcome by smoke. I can remember telling my partner that they had to get in there. They had to get in the building. But I was afraid that maybe it wouldn't be soon enough.
The crew threw a ladder to the upstairs window. Simultaneously, I was going to do a rescue attempt up the staircase. Fire was rolling from the kitchen into the living room. Visibility was almost zero. When I got to the top of the stairs, I could hear screams.
I heard someone was in the room with them. And then Battalion Chief came across the radio and said that they had rescued 2 victims from a fire. And I was very happy and relieved.
The children could have died in this fire, but Janelle did everything right.
Watch your head. Think you'll hear it?
All in all, they suffered nothing more than a good scare.
Fleet plan. So call now to talk with us and learn more. Or ask Tabo.
And the door jammed. She was very calm, and she called 911. She's growing up, but to me, a 12-year-old and a 2-year-old, they're still little children, you know, and it was just really great to see her do what she did.
There isn't a day that goes by that I don't say, you know, thank you in my prayers. She just came through for us as a family.
Today on Rescue 911, a horrifying ordeal.
Somebody's trying to break into my house.
Children left unattended,
I thought I lost my kids.
terrorized by burglars.
Apparently they've gotten into the house.
Be there for the dramatic chase. Plus, catch a terrifying ride down a dangerous hill. Will one man's courageous efforts prevent a fatal disaster? Only on Rescue 911.
We begin on the morning of November 1st, 1990, in Madera, California. On that day, when 11-year-old Katrina Rollis woke up with a sore throat, her parents arranged for her to stay home from school. By 9 a.m., Irma Salas and her husband had already left for work. Katrina was looking after her 10-month-old baby sister until her grandmother could pick them up. Katrina immediately called her mother at work.
Mom? Yeah? There's somebody at our door and they're knocking and they won't stop.
You don't know who it is? I told Trina, if you don't know who it is, don't answer the door.
All right.
She went and got the baby, and they both went under the bed, and that's when she called me again. I thought I lost my kids. I thought I wasn't gonna see them again. I just wanted to come home and be there first, but she wanted someone here fast, and that's what she thought of, 911.
At 9:45 a.m., a call came in to dispatcher Heidi Foley.
Katrina Rowley. Somebody's trying to break into my house. What's your address? 434 Street. Are they at the front or the back? They're in the garage. Just open the door knob. They're in the garage. Okay, stay on the line with me.
The thought of this being a child, what's going to happen, it's nerve-wracking, but on the other hand, you know you're not going to be able to help that child or that person unless you can remain calm and get the people there that need to respond to assist her.
47 there too. Need you to respond to a 459 in progress. Okay, and how old are you? I'm 11. 11 years old. I'm sick and I'm taking care of my sister. Okay, so you're 11 and how old's your sister? She's 10. The children open the door. Okay, they're on their way. I just want you to stay on the line with me, okay?
I could hear over the phone the door rattling, and apparently they were trying to break the doorknob.
Madera police officer Brian Chatasoli was doing paperwork at the jail when he was notified of the incident.
Being I have two small children of my own, of course you're scared of what you're going to find when you get there. And the fact that dispatcher Foley was on the telephone with her, that was the only lifeline we had with that child at that time. That's the only way we knew that child was okay.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. They're on their way, honey. They're on their way. Okay, calm down. Because I'm going to help. I know you're scared. He broke it open. Oh, he broke it open. Okay, they're on their way, honey. Are they here? They'll be there in just a minute.
We still have the little one on line.
Affirmative. Apparently he's gotten into the house. She's in one of the bedrooms. I'm trying to get further.
Up 64.
Okay, you got your little sister there with you? Yes.
Once the suspects were in the house, then the urgency became intense. Were they actually just burglarizing the house, or were they after these kids?
What room are you in, honey? Are you in a bedroom, honey? Katrina?
When we continue,
it took me about 2 minutes to arrive at the scene. I was going upon the assumption that they were most likely armed.
We're giving Walker. Walker Texas Ranger. Now every Sunday from 6 to 10 p.m. Eastern on Get TV.
the first officer to get to the house was Robert Salas.
It probably took me about 2 minutes to arrive at the scene. I was going upon the assumption that they were most likely armed.
Somebody came in. Okay, it's probably a policeman, okay? So you just hold on. I'm scared. I know, honey.
Everything's clear. Everything's clear.
Girls are in here.
The policeman's in your room? Yeah. Okay, all right, I'm gonna hang up with you then, okay? Okay. Okay, bye-bye. Bye-bye.
point that we got Katrina and her little sister out of the house, I'm satisfied. If we never catch these other guys, I don't really care. Of course, I do want to catch them, but you got to understand is I'm satisfied with the two girls being okay.
Once they determined the house was clear, Officer Salas continued the search outside.
Near a fence line, I observed some firearms. At that point, I determined that the suspects may have fled westbound through the canal.
When a neighbor was questioned, he said he had seen 3 youths running from the scene and gave a description of what they were wearing. Police Chief Gordon Skeels, who knew the area well, headed for a place where he thought the suspects might emerge from the canal.
They took off running up over the bank, and I lost sight of them just for a second or two while I backed my car out and turned it around, but I knew where they went.
Officer Fabian Benavente then spotted the suspects and tried to keep them in sight.
I was driving parallel with them as they were running and jumping over fences and dispatching the traffic to the other officers.
They're right in the middle of the block, running towards Washington.
We felt that these subjects were armed. There was approximately 40 rounds of .357 Magnum ammunition and .38 ammunition found, so everybody in the search had that on their mind.
I can see, I see Clinton, I can see down to Louis as well.
Various ones of us just took up posts around the area trying to establish a perimeter, and Sergeant Jeffries was in charge of the general operation.
As other officers arrived, we began to fill in the gaps that we had.
Just about every law enforcement agency in the county was represented because they had heard the radio calls and they came in to assist.
I got a visual officer, speed drone over here on Washington. Did one cross us over here? Negative, he peeked around the corner, saw me and took off back. He's still inside the perimeter. There's so many curious citizens running around here, it's hard to tell who's who.
About 40 minutes into the search, 2 of the suspects slipped through the perimeter and eluded the officers.
We're not interested in meting out justice to them. It's not our job. And if we can take them without them being hurt or us being hurt or a witness being hurt or a victim being hurt, then we're all ahead of the game.
City units, I have one suspect in the backyard at 3 Magnolia. He's under a table.
A citizen yelled at me and said that a young man with a baseball cap had just run into the backyard.
Sheriff's Deputy Patrick Majeski was approaching from the other side of the yard.
I knew I was close. I knew he was in there somewhere.
Freeze, Sheriff's Department, put your hands on your head. Crawl on out, lay down on your stomach, leave your hands on your head.
45 minutes after the search began, the first suspect was taken into custody. The search for the other 2 suspects continued. Shortly after Officer Chapasoni joined in, he spotted something.
I had what I thought to be a second suspect due to his clothing and his demeanor.
41 to 64, he's running. We got him. He's going this way, I got him.
Go down to your knees. Go down. Go down. Go down. He basically threw his hands up and said, I had enough.
Badera 6-4, code 4, second one in custody, Badera.
I was quite pleased of what we accomplished that day.
Though the third suspect got away, he turned himself in 8 days later. All 3 youths subsequently pleaded guilty and were sentenced to 60 days in juvenile hall, community service, and restitution. Martin Rollis was thankful that his daughter Katrina knew what to do in an emergency.
Whatever they took, I was fine as long as my kids were all right. It's just the thing of what could have happened to her.
I just felt good just to see him alive.
Can I eat now? Katrina wanted to meet the dispatcher. I had a day off the next day, so we went over there. And she said that I had a bright little girl. And I told her, I sure do.
Katrina did very well in responding to the questions I needed answered, so that she was instrumental, actually, in helping us apprehend the people that we did.
The Madera Police Department gave Katrina an award in recognition of her heroic actions.
By apprehending these 3 individuals, it showed us that they had been the ones that had done numerous burglaries throughout the city and the county area. And as a consequence, it probably saved a lot of other people being victimized by the same group.
I'm not scared anymore because it's all over with and I don't think it'll happen again. But if it does, I know how to use the 911 system.
Next.
He was messing with the wheel and he was trying his emergency brake, but he had too much speed.
Like when you told me you were getting life insurance.
From $2,000 to $20,000. Choose the coverage and payment option that work for you. It provides a lifetime of coverage. Payments will never go up, and your coverage will never go down.
Just wish you were here so I could say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
For more than 155 years, John Hancock has helped meet the needs of more than 18 million customers with strong financial ratings today. Plus, enjoy discounts, rewards, and other tools for healthy living with the exclusive John Hancock Vitality Program.
Call 1-800-998-3421 or go online to learn more. That's 1-800-998-3421. 1-800-998-3421. Call now.
On August 15th, 1990, after spending weeks battling a series of forest fires 8,000 feet up in the mountains near the Idaho border, the Montana Indian firefighters were finally heading home to see their families.
Peter Whitford was one of the bus drivers that day.
There's 20 or 21 firefighters into a crew. Ernie had 2 crews. Now, that's a lot of guys to be putting on one bus, you know, especially all that weight, plus all their gear they put on there.
Everybody ready to go? Everybody ready to go. Okay, Ernie, let me get your back.
Ernie Heavy Runner was going to be driving the bus behind Peter.
We just told him, just drive careful because it's a long ways to the bottom. You're going to be using brakes. That's about all the way. I was about 500 feet ahead of Ernie. Ernie, he's been driving for quite a few years, you know. Good driver.
Crew Chief Michael Volkaff was seated in the front of Ernie's bus.
We just pulled out, headed down the mountain. Nothing seemed wrong, you know. I heard a sound like these big trucks have when they step on their brakes.
Hey, you gotta run away, boss. You gotta do something to stop it.
He was trying his different options. And he was messing with the wheel, and he was trying his emergency brake, and he was trying to gear down, but we had too much speed. The gears would just grind.
I could tell that he was picking up speed pretty good. So it just popped on mine if he could just hit the back end of my bus. Well, I got my brakes on, you can't go too far. I hate to see a bunch of them guys go over the cliff. I figured I could prevent something.
At the last moment, Peter moved over and Ernie drove it beside him. Everything happened so quick.
I just kept crowding him over, and that come to my mind right then, and I wouldn't let him go by me. I was right under looking over at him. I asked if he all right. He's a little shook up. I don't blame him, you know.
After everybody got off, I told Ernie, let's go, Ernie. And he wouldn't let his steering wheel go. So I just kind of had to take his hands off for him and stand him up and help him out.
Everybody out, Mike? Okay.
Range from $2,000 to $20,000. Choose the coverage.
I think Peter saved us all, really. He's the guy that drove into us and pushed us into the cut bank.
The boys were thankful for what I did. They still thank me. Every time I see them on the street. They say, you've done a good job, Pete. We're still walking around here.
For more full Rescue 911 videos, hit the big red button and subscribe. Peace out, YouTube. Now I'm going to go get my iPad in the stand, and I'm going to click on Finish Event. finish the event.